begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities.
Engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. from the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2020. The nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks.
At KGL Group, we believe Ghana's future will be driven by bold entrepreneurs and strong partnerships. We are proud to support the Kwahu Business Forum 2026. Join us this April 3rd to 5th in Kwahu, and be sure to visit the KGL booth as we explore new opportunities together. See you in Kwahu.
At CBG, we are committed to fueling the growth of Ghanaian businesses. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum as we engage in strategic conversations to support the agenda of building a sustainable future for our nation.
Whether you are expanding your business, financing infrastructure, investing in property, or managing complex operations, Republic Bank is ready to be your trusted financial partner.
At Serene Insurance, our energy levels are at its peak. We believe protecting businesses means protecting Ghana's future. Join us this April as we connect at the Emprioso Hills and collaborate to build a resilient business for Ghana's tomorrow.
The future of business lies not just in access to credit, but also in innovation and collaboration. At ABSA, we are proud to partner with businesses on the journey of growth.
Entrepreneurship fuels Ghana's growth, and at Fidelity, we believe ambition thrives when it's matched with the right capital and the right support. We're here to help ideas grow into real businesses by supporting entrepreneurs with smart financial solutions and strong partnerships.
For several decades, GCB Bank, Ghana's #1 bank, has stood alongside Ghanaian businesses, supporting their growth and expansions across the entire country. The Kwahu Business Forum presents another terrific opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors to meet, connect, and explore new ways of advancing Ghana's economic growth.
The Ghana Enterprises Agency continues to support entrepreneurs with the right tools, training, and resources with a strong focus on improving access to markets for Ghanaian MSMEs. The Kwahu Business Forum brings these businesses together to connect, showcase their products, and explore new market opportunities.
At the Bank of Africa, we support enterprises that are expanding beyond borders. The Kwahu Business Forum is a valuable platform to build those connections.
EcoBank Ghana is proud to support enterprises expanding across the continent through our Pan-African network. The Kwahu Business Forum is a great opportunity to connect, collaborate, and unlock new possibilities for trade and investment.
Ghanaian businesses have enormous potential to compete in global markets. At Exim Bank, we are committed to supporting exporters and industries to bring Ghana to the world. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to unlock these opportunities. Let's meet there.
Entrepreneurs are very important to the economy of Ghana and in any other developing country. They contribute more than 90% to businesses and more than 80% to employment. And that's why platforms like the Kwahu Business Forum are important. And I invite everybody to be part of it. We've been part of it from the beginning and will always continue to support the Kwahu Business Forum.
Real development begins at the local level. The District Assembly's Common Fund continues to support communities, infrastructure, and businesses across Ghana's districts. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to connect national ideas with local impact and opportunity.
National Investment Bank PLC remains committed to supporting Ghanaian businesses with the right investment and financial solutions they need to grow and scale up.
Rock is proud to contribute to the growth of the precious mineral value chain. The Kwahu Business Forum brings together the partnerships and ideas that will shape Ghana's next phase of economic progress. Come, let's grow Ghana together.
At NutriFoods, an Olam subsidiary, we are proud to serve Ghanaian consumers through trusted homegrown brands guided by a simple philosophy: made in Ghana, made for Ghana, and thought by Ghana. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum, where leaders come together to shape the next chapter of Ghana's economic growth.
Ghanaian businesses have immense potential in global markets. GEPA remains committed to supporting exporters and helping local enterprises compete internationally.
At ADB, our focus is simple: financing the ideas and enterprises that drive Ghana's growth.
That's why platforms like the Kwahu Business Forum are so important. Join us this April as we go beyond banking to support entrepreneurs build the future of Ghana.
Investment plays a critical role in accelerating Ghana's economic growth. GIPC, through its regional investment roadshows under the Investment Opportunities Mapping Project, works to attract and facilitate strategic investments that support businesses and industries across the country. From Accra to Tamale, from Ho to Takrady, the Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform for fostering these partnerships.
Hold on, you can't talk about Kwahu without the experience.
Easter in Kwahu is one of Ghana's most exciting tourism moments, and the Kwahu Business Forum adds a powerful dimension to it. This April, come for the ideas, the business, and the experience.
At KGL Group, we believe Ghana's future will be driven by bold entrepreneurs and strong partnerships. We are proud to support the Kwahu Business Forum 2026. Join us this April 3rd to 5th in Kwahu, and be sure to visit the KGL booth as we explore new opportunities together. See you in Kwahu.
At CBG, we are committed to fueling the growth of Ghanaian businesses. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum as we engage in strategic conversations to support the agenda of building a sustainable future for our nation.
Whether you are expanding your business, financing infrastructure, investing in property, or managing complex operations, Republic Bank is ready to be your trusted financial partner.
At Serene Insurance, our energy levels are at its peak. We believe protecting businesses means protecting Ghana's future. Join us this April as we connect at the Empress Hills and collaborate to build a resilient business for Ghana's tomorrow.
The future of business lies not just in access to credit, but also in innovation and collaboration. At ABSA, we are proud to partner with businesses on the journey of growth.
Entrepreneurship fuels Ghana's growth, and at Fidelity, we believe ambition thrives when it's matched with the right capital and the right support. We're here to help ideas grow into real businesses by supporting entrepreneurs with smart financial solutions and strong partnerships.
For several decades, GCB Bank, Ghana's #1 bank, has stood alongside Ghanaian businesses, supporting their growth and expansions across the entire country. The Kwahu Business Forum presents another terrific opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors to meet, connect, and explore new ways of advancing Ghana's economic growth.
The Ghana Enterprises Agency continues to support entrepreneurs with the right tools, training, and resources with a strong focus on improving access to markets for Ghanaian MSMEs. The Kwahu Business Forum brings these businesses together to connect, showcase their products, and explore new market opportunities.
At Bank of Africa, we support enterprises that are expanding beyond borders. The Kwahu Business Forum is a valuable platform to build those connections.
EcoBank Ghana is proud to support enterprises expanding across the continent through our Pan-African network. The Kwahu Business Forum is a great opportunity to connect, collaborate, and unlock new possibilities for trade and investment.
Ghanaian businesses have enormous potential to compete in global markets. At Exim Bank, we are committed to supporting exporters and industries to bring Ghana to the world. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to unlock these opportunities. Let's meet there.
Entrepreneurs are very important to the economy of Ghana and in any other developing country. They contribute more than 90% to businesses and more than 80% to employment. And that's why platforms like the Kwahu Business Forum are important. And I invite everybody to be part of it. We've been part of it from the beginning and will always continue to support the Kwahu Business Forum.
Real development begins at the local level. The District Assembly's Common Fund continues to support communities, infrastructure, and businesses across Ghana's districts. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to connect national ideas with local impact and opportunity.
National Investment Bank PLC remains committed to supporting Ghanaian businesses with the right investment and financial solutions they need to grow and scale up.
Rock is proud to contribute to the growth of the precious mineral value chain. The Kwahu Business Forum brings together the partnerships and ideas that will shape Ghana's next phase of economic progress. Come, let's grow Ghana together.
At NutriFoods, an Olam subsidiary, we are proud to serve Ghanaian consumers through trusted homegrown brands guided by a simple philosophy: made in Ghana, made for Ghana, and thought by Ghana. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum, where leaders come together to shape the next chapter of Ghana's economic growth.
Ghanaian businesses have immense potential in global markets. GEPA remains committed to supporting exporters and helping local enterprises compete internationally.
At ADB, our focus is simple: financing the ideas and enterprises that drive Ghana's growth.
That's why platforms like the Kwahu Business Forum are so important. Join us this April as we go beyond banking to support entrepreneurs build the future of Ghana.
Investment plays a critical role in accelerating Ghana's economic growth. GIPC, through its regional investment roadshows under the Investment Opportunities Mapping Project, works to attract and facilitate strategic investments that support businesses and industries across the country. From Accra to Tamale, from Ho to Takrady, the Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform for fostering these partnerships.
Hold on, you can't talk about Kwahu without the experience. Easter in Kwahu is one of Ghana's most exciting tourism moments, and the Kwahu Business Forum adds a powerful dimension to it. This April, come for the ideas, the business, and the experience.
When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation. With special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation. With special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation. With special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation, with special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April, Ghana's business and policy leaders converge at the Kwahu Business Forum 2026, the nation's premier platform for investment, enterprise, and economic transformation. With special guest of honor, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, joining captains of industry, financial institutions, investors, and entrepreneurs.
The Kwahu Business Forum is more than just an event. It is a call to action. And so let us work together to build a Ghana that is competitive, productive, and inclusive, and a Ghana that creates opportunities for all.
Come, let's engage in high-level dialogue, explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. When nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. Explore industry exhibitions, build powerful networks, and unlock real opportunities from finance and insurance to manufacturing, agribusiness, SMEs, and innovation. This is where it all happens. From the 3rd to the 5th of April 2026 at the Kwahu Convention Center in Praeso Hills. Go to www.kwahubusinessforum.com and register now. To register for exhibitions, call 059 555 5885 or 059 555 5995. Kwahu Business Forum. Connect, promote, grow. nations rise, it begins with bold conversations. When economies grow, it is driven by partnership. This April,
At KGL Group, we believe Ghana's future will be driven by bold entrepreneurs and strong partnerships. We are proud to support the Kwahu Business Forum 2026. Join us this April 3rd to 5th in Kwahu, and be sure to visit the KGL booth as we explore new opportunities together. See you in Kwahu.
At CBG, we are committed to fueling the growth of Ghanaian businesses. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum as we engage in strategic conversations to support the agenda of building a sustainable future for our nation.
Whether you are expanding your business, financing infrastructure, investing in property, or managing complex operations, Republic Bank is ready to be your trusted financial partner.
At Serene Insurance, our energy levels are at its peak. We believe protecting businesses means protecting Ghana's future. Join us this April as we connect at the Empriso Hills and collaborate to build a resilient business for Ghana's tomorrow.
The future of business lies not just in access to credit, but also in innovation and collaboration. At ABSA, we are proud to partner with businesses on the journey of growth.
Entrepreneurship fuels Ghana's growth, and at Fidelity, we believe ambition thrives when it's matched with the right capital and the right support. We're here to help ideas grow into real businesses by supporting entrepreneurs with smart financial solutions and strong partnerships.
For several decades, GCB Bank, Ghana's #1 bank, has stood alongside Ghanaian businesses, supporting their growth and expansions across the entire country. The Kwahu Business Forum presents another terrific opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors to meet, connect, and explore new ways of advancing Ghana's economic growth.
The Ghana Enterprises Agency continues to support entrepreneurs with the right tools, training, and resources with a strong focus on improving access to markets for Ghanaian MSMEs. The Kwahu Business Forum brings these businesses together to connect, showcase their products, and explore new market opportunities.
At Bank of Africa, we support enterprises that are expanding beyond borders. The Kwahu Business Forum is a valuable platform to build those connections.
EcoBank Ghana is proud to support enterprises expanding across the continent through our Pan-African network. The Kwahu Business Forum is a great opportunity to connect, collaborate, and unlock new possibilities for trade and investment.
Ghanaian businesses have enormous potential to compete in global markets. At Exim Bank, we are committed to supporting exporters and industries to bring Ghana to the world. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to unlock these opportunities.
At KGL Group, we believe Ghana's future will be driven by bold entrepreneurs and strong partnerships. We are proud to support the Kwahu Business Forum 2026. Join us this April 3rd to 5th in Kwahu, and be sure to visit the KGL booth as we explore new opportunities together. See you in Kwahu.
At CBG, we are committed to fueling the growth of Ghanaian businesses. Join us at the Kwahu Business Forum as we engage in strategic conversations to support the agenda of building a sustainable future for our nation.
Whether you are expanding your business, financing infrastructure, investing in property, or managing complex operations, Republic Bank is ready to be your trusted financial partner.
At Serene Insurance, our energy levels are at its peak. We believe protecting businesses means protecting Ghana's future. Join us this April as we connect at the Empresa Hills and collaborate to build a resilient business for Ghana's tomorrow.
The future of business lies not just in access to credit, but also in innovation and collaboration. At ABSA, we are proud to partner with businesses on the journey of growth.
Entrepreneurship fuels Ghana's growth, and at Fidelity, we believe ambition thrives when it's matched with the right capital and the right support. We're here to help ideas grow into real businesses by supporting entrepreneurs with smart financial solutions and strong partnerships.
For several decades, GCB Bank, Ghana's #1 bank, has stood alongside Ghanaian businesses, supporting their growth and expansions across the entire country. The Kwahu Business Forum presents another terrific opportunity for businesses, entrepreneurs, and investors to meet, connect, and explore new ways of advancing Ghana's economic growth.
The Ghana Enterprises Agency continues to support entrepreneurs with the right tools, training, and resources with a strong focus on improving access to markets for Ghanaian MSMEs. The Kwahu Business Forum brings these businesses together to connect, showcase their products, and explore new market opportunities.
At Bank of Africa, we support enterprises that are expanding beyond borders. The Kwahu Business Forum is a valuable platform to build those connections.
EcoBank Ghana is proud to support enterprises expanding across the continent through our Pan-African network. The Kwahu Business Forum is a great opportunity to connect, collaborate, and unlock new possibilities for trade and investment.
Ghanaian businesses have enormous potential to compete in global markets. At Exim Bank, we are committed to supporting exporters and industries to bring Ghana to the world. The Kwahu Business Forum is an important platform to unlock these opportunities. Let's meet there.
Entrepreneurs are very important.
kileba juliba lutua unuwe oh na makambo ngai na makambo
Songi bandikoe likambo na motema ngai na motema unu para kileba chulilo lutua oh na makambo
Nasimakot iyot onina wanika mon puli mwa mutande not ukuna ben wat dutu nyimba mule mat ebukimba mabot ilena boy mona wa bongo jita amunja mit inyandolo weapon ba meset mona menwe kata midongot bukato be no wat now mende kata wiat na sivinje na imente no vola ruku onyolangoye Ilbo sambo with pombo wana dalowina Il kinde walo te kinde kimila boku mama Polingwa mama na mwana utakota te Putuna moi mamelena kopunda Mobotia zami sisae mwana ngefololo nyuso sala ponangao mamelena bungang mamelena bungang makianale ina masuma pona bombe na dalowina Singa to Malia mama. My words now is out. No more you are like we'll also wanna whoop
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, captains of industry, and thank you very much for joining us for day 3 of the Kwahu Business Forum. I know that for many of you, you were here on Thursday. Some of you came here yesterday. Very soon we'll be joined by the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And for today's event, I'll be in charge of the ceremony. My name is Winston Amoa, and I'm on Joy Super Morning Show, and I'll be doing this with
Nadidi Teti. I'm also on the Morning Star on Star 103.5 FM.
Great. So a few rules before we get started. Now, I'm told that outside, there's a lot of people at the entrance. Please, the President will be joining us shortly, and it will be very, very necessary for that place to be cleared. I've also been informed that in here, only GTV, TV3, and Joy News will be allowed in. The rest can pick it outside. So please enjoy. The President will be joining us shortly, and once he gets here, we'll get started. Thank you very much.
Singa Malia Mukanda wo bakaka Balimba na tena subu Nimele soman matila kutuna dibe munyenge
President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And the photographers, please, and please once again, if you could kindly take your seats.
Photographers, can we have some order, please? Thank you all very much. Okay. We are all standing now. Can we now have the national anthem? Can we all take our seats now, please? Thank you all very much. Mr. President, you're welcome, and we are welcoming all of you one more time to day 2 of the Kwahu Business Forum. Like we did say earlier, we introduced ourselves earlier. My name is Nadede Tete, and
my name is Winston Amoa.
Okay, we'll be steering affairs today for the day 2 of the Kwahu Business Forum. All right, let's get everything set now. And what we are going to be doing right now is to get the welcome address by the chief, Esiedu Ajiman II, Adonting Hene of the Kwahu Traditional Council. Can we all welcome him, please?
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, and all other guests. Ese enede wababe kaye ho ewo Kwahu bipo iso. Eda jumedi mpeni nyina fa ejuma kesi ese ya mode aba se Business Forum, ye innovators, the promoters of business. Ye mamu na kwaba, ye stresse. Jumedie ya ye babidi abapabi be free mwaba na innovations. Enkwa ye kasa ye ka na so. I call and they the 3rd edition. Future editions no you be who say a very fruitful and beneficiary to the people of Kwahu and Ghana as a whole. Yemamujina akwaba, Damasi. Ese Jumedie di Eradi Shraso, na Yenya, the Pebi, Ebanim Peja Ghana Krudie, Yedamasi, Yama akwaba.
Thank you very, very much. The Adontihini of the Kwahu Traditional Council, Nana Asiedu Ajiman II. Nana, yabeda asi bebree. And moving on, the focus of today's discussion, or today's business forum, Kwahu Business Forum, is on finance, market access, growth, and innovation. So at this point, with a round of applause, let's welcome the Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry Minister, the Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, for some opening remarks with a round of applause.
Very much. Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Chief of Staff, colleague ministers of state, members of parliament hearing present, the Chief Justice, the Governor of Bank of Ghana, the Chief Executive Officers of both public and private institutions, members of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, members of AGI, great captains of industry, and leaders of business association, development finance partners, entrepreneurs, SME operators, my young business leaders, friends from the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am pleased to welcome His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama and to you all to Kwahu Business Forum 2026. The breadth and serenity of this gathering speaks for itself. That government, industry, and finance are represented at this level signals a collective recognition that the question of scaling Ghanaian enterprise is no longer one we can afford to treat as aspirational. Your Excellency, we are honored once again that you have chosen to be part of this forum. Your administration's commitment to private sector-led growth is one that the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry shares fully. And your presence here today gives formal expression to the partnership between government and industry that this forum was established to advance. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this year's forum, the future of business, scaling up local enterprise, reflects a precise diagnosis of where Ghana stands in its industrial development. We have, over many years, demonstrated that Ghanaian entrepreneurs are capable of building viable enterprises across agribusiness processing, manufacturing, services, and trade. The constraint has never been ingenuity. The constraint has been skill and conditions necessary to achieve it. Addressing that constraint is the mandate of my ministry, and we are prosecuting it with alacrity. Your Excellency, under your guidance, my ministry has, for the first time, developed dedicated industrial policy frameworks for the textiles and garments, pharmaceutical, automobile components sectors. These frameworks are designed to provide regulatory clarity, investment incentives, and standards architects that enterprises in their sectors require to grow with confidence. The policies will, in the coming months, be submitted for cabinet consideration. We are also advancing the revitalization of our special economic zones, repositioning them as active industrial ecosystem oriented towards agro-processing and light manufacturing rather than passive export enclaves. In addition, we have finalized the National Agribusiness Policy, which has been submitted for cabinet consideration. It sets out a deliberate pathway to capturing the value that currently leaves Ghana in the form of unprocessed agricultural commodities. Ghana loses an estimated 2.5 billion annually in unrealized value from raw agricultural produce alone, an amount that represents not a lament, but a clear opportunity this government is determined to seize. Your Excellency, underpinning all of these is our Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. Ghana carries a particular responsibility to demonstrate what intra-African trade can deliver in practice. We are working to ensure that Ghanaian enterprises have access to rules of origin certification, tariff intelligence, and market linkages necessary to compete and win in the continental market. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, none of these policies will deliver their intended outcome without a private sector that is prepared to meet government enabling environment with commensurate investment in technology, skills, governance, and standard compliance. The sessions that follow this opening are designed to advance precisely that conversation with rigor and candor that the momentum demands. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the program before you today brings together some of Ghana's most distinguished financial institutions, business leaders, and sector experts to address the practical barriers to entrepreneurial growth. Access to capital, formalization, agribusiness development, and the leadership legacy required to build institutions that endure. I encourage every participant to engage these sessions as an active contributor, not merely as an observer. With these few remarks, it is my honor to formally welcome all of you to the Business Forum of Kwahu 2026. I thank you for your kind attention.
Another round of applause for our minister. We are moving on to take some goodwill messages, and we are taking the very first one from KGL Group Chairman, Mr. Alex Apo Adadi. Could you give him a round of applause, please?
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, I have been given a short topic here to talk about, which is good corporate citizenship in building sustainable African business champions, the KGL case study. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, the Chief Justice of the Republic, the Chief of Staff, leaders of parliament, ministers of state, traditional leaders, captains of industries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege to be here this afternoon to talk about this topic in Kwahu, a place where enterprise is a culture, where business is lived, built, and tested, and passed on. And so there's no other place to speak about good corporate citizenship in building sustainable African business champions. The KGL study, a hard truth Ghana and Africa must confront. At the KGL group of companies, our journey has taught us one powerful lesson. Good corporate citizenship is not a side activity. It is a business strategy. It is not something you do after success. It is often the reason success becomes sustainable. Why? Because in Ghana and Africa, where markets are still maturing and institutions are still evolving, trust is not a soft asset. Trust is a hard currency. And businesses that understand this build differently. We have always believed that if you operate in sectors that touch the public interest, then your responsibility must be greater than your ambition. This means governance before glamour, compliance before convenience, partnership before opportunism, impact before applause. Because if your business grows while the society around you breaks down, that is not success, Your Excellency. That is mere temporary extraction. And let me be blunt here. In Africa and in Ghana, where we often talk about public-private partnerships, but not every PPP is a partnership. Some are merely private profit wrapped in public language. And this must change. A true partnership between the state and private enterprise must produce measurable value, improved service delivery, sustainable revenue, public confidence. Your Excellency, anything less than that is not a partnership, it's an arbitrage. And at KGL, our conviction has been simple. When private sector works with government, the question should not be how much can we take? The question should be how much value can we create together? That is the difference between a contractor and a good corporate citizen. And Ghana needs more good corporate citizens. Good corporate citizenship must touch real lives. If your company is growing, but the ordinary people cannot point to how your existence has improved their lives, then your social foundation is weak. This is why good corporate citizenship must be visible in the places where the state is under pressure. In education, in health, in youth opportunity, in women's empowerment, and in community resilience. Your Excellency, through the KGL Foundation, our dedicated corporate social responsibility arm, we are committed to transforming this principle into tangible impact. The foundation continues to demonstrate in an unwavering commitment to national development through strategic investments across sports, health, education, youth empowerment, financial inclusion, and arts. In the area of sports, Your Excellency, the KGL Foundation has committed $1 million over 4 years to the Ghana Football Association Juvenile Sports. In the last 5 years, we have committed 30 million cedis to the national soccer team, the Black Stars, and we continue to do that. We have shown a strong commitment to support two initiatives by government. That's the Ghana Sports Fund and also the Ghana Health Fund. In the area of medical sponsorship, we have built the first mental health facility north of the country in Kumasi at a cost of several millions of dollars. In education, we have funded over 300 brilliant but needy students and infrastructure development in schools, including my own alma mater in Fanswim. And these are all interventions that we've made as part of corporate Ghana. Furthermore, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, too many businesses are built around individuals, not systems. When the founder is strong, the business is strong. When the founder is absent, the business trembles. And when the founder dies, the business dies. These are the problems that we face in this part of the world. And we call that legacy, that's fragility. If Africa and Ghana is serious about building business champions, we must move from this. We must move from charisma to governance. We must move from control to institution building, and we must move from ownership to stewardship, and most importantly, from personality to process. This is the real test of a great African business. And the real test is not how the great African business is celebrated, the founder is celebrated, but how the business, the real test is, can the business outlive its founder? Can it outgrow its founder? Can it outserve its founder. And this should be the standard. And this is the challenge before all of us in this room today. Your Excellency, permit me at this stage to speak directly to our political and business leaders. Firstly, to our political leaders. To foster true African business champions, it is essential to move beyond viewing local enterprises as a mere convenient resource, temporary solutions, or political instruments. Instead, we must prioritize sustainable support, genuine partnerships, and strategic investment in our local businesses to unlock their full potential. This means we must be consistent with policy, and we must surround ourselves with regulatory predictability. There shouldn't be delayed payments to private sector. There shouldn't be selective enforcement, which damage reputation. Because, Your Excellency, no serious country builds national champions by exhausting its entrepreneurs. If Ghana wants to produce global scale companies like the KGL Group, then Ghana must create an environment where credible indigenous businesses grow, compete, and reinvest in confidence. Support should not mean favoritism. It should mean fairness, predictability, transparency, and respect for value creation. Because when a serious Ghanaian company wins, Your Excellency, it is not only the founder who wins. Workers win, suppliers win, families win, communities win, the government revenue wins, and national confidence also wins. And to my fellow business leaders here today, let me be equally direct. We cannot demand trust from society if we do not practice discipline ourselves. We cannot ask for policy support while ignoring governance. We cannot speak on patriotism while evading responsibility. We cannot demand national respect while treating workers, regulators, or communities as inconvenient. If we want to build African champions, we must build African standards. And that means we must pay our taxes responsibly. Your Excellency, I am proud to announce that at KGL Group, we take this very seriously. In the last 5 years, we have been one of the companies that have filed its annual returns on time and have been, in the last 5 years, comprehensively audited by the Ghana Revenue Authority. I must say that this year, our tax returns for 2025 was filed in January. The Ghana Revenue Authority comprehensively audited these tax returns, and I am pleased to announce that within the next couple of weeks, to be precise, on the 16th of April, we will be making payment of 150 million cedis to the GRA, representing, and that is the returns for only one of our 7 subsidiaries. So in terms of tax payments, we walk the talk. And it also means that the private sector must honor contracts. It must treat people with dignity, invest in compliance, protect their reputation, build leadership pipelines, empower women and young professionals. Because companies that will define Ghana's future will not be just the ones that are profitable. They will be the most trusted, the most resilient, and the most well-governed, and also most rooted in purpose. So let me leave this distinguished forum with a challenge. Let us stop asking, how do we make money? And begin asking, what institutions are we building? What national problems are we solving? What sectors are we transforming? And what values are we embedding? what will survive us. Because in the final analysis, Your Excellency, the true measure of a business champion is not the size of the founder's house. It is the size of the institution's contribution to national progress. That is the test, and history will ruthlessly apply it. Let me end by saying that there has to be change, and the change must be from now. Let this forum drive the change, and let companies like KGL Group continue to demonstrate that good corporate citizenship is not weakness, but strength. And let us resolve from Kwahu to build businesses that are profitable enough to scale, principled enough to endure, and patriotic enough to matter. Because the future will not belong to companies that simply make money. The future will belong to companies that make meaning, build trust, and strengthen nations. Thank you, Your Excellency. May God bless Kwahu, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. And before I end, I think that when I saw the theme, scaling up local businesses, one thing came into mind. In Ghana, it's very difficult to scale up because we are in a perpetual startup mode. How do you scale up when you are in a perpetual startup mode? And meaning that unless we build sustainable businesses, there's no scaling. You can only scale on what you've built. So let's think about that. The scaling has to start with a build-up. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Mr. Alex Apau Dade, who is the KGL Group chairman. One thing that he said that stood out to me is that too many businesses are built around individuals and not systems. And we need to be moving from personality to process. That's one key takeaway for me. I would like to invite the Chief Justice, His Lordship, Paul Bafoboni, to also give us his welcome address, and we would love to limit that address to about 3 minutes. Thank you so much, Your Lordship. We're grateful.
I normally speak very slowly. So, being limited to 3 minutes is going to be a little bit hard, but I'll try. Your Excellency, the President, the Chief of Staff, Honorable Ministers of State, distinguished captains of industry, leaders of financial institutions, entrepreneurs and innovators, development partners, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure and a privilege to join you today at the Kwahu Business Forum. There is something special about this gathering, high up in these beautiful hills, where ideas and opportunity come together in such a powerful way. I thank the organizers for their vision and consistency in keeping this important platform alive. This year's theme, the future of business, scaling up local enterprise, could not be more timely. It speaks directly to where Ghana needs to go, building stronger, bigger, and more resilient businesses rooted in our own soil. But what is the Chief Justice doing at a forum for businessmen and women? Ladies and gentlemen, no matter how creative or well-funded a business may be, it cannot truly thrive without one fundamental ingredient: trust. And trust in any economy rests on 3 quiet but powerful assurances: that contracts will be honored, that property will be protected, and that disputes will be resolved fairly, predictably, and without endless delay. These are not just legal principles written in books. They are the everyday expectations of every investor, every entrepreneur, and every business owner, whether large or small. And these assurances are quite simply the daily work of the judiciary. When I assumed office, I made a conscious decision that the judiciary should no longer be a distant institution sitting in the background of our national life. Instead, we have chosen to become an active partner in creating a genuinely business-friendly environment, one firmly anchored in the rule of law. We recognize that when justice is delayed, it's not just a legal problem. It becomes an economic cost. When enforcement is uncertain, it does not merely frustrate parties, it discourages investment and holds back growth. That is why we have moved beyond talking and started acting. We have introduced the two streams of court system with structured morning and afternoon sessions. This is already helping us clear cases faster, especially commercial matters where time is critical. We have established and operationalized specialized courts focused on commercial disputes, financial matters, cybercrime, and regulatory issues. These courts bring together expertise, consistency, and speed, qualities that businesses deeply value. We are currently undertaking the first major review of the rules of court in more than 20 years. Our goal is to simplify procedures, remove unnecessary technicalities, and make litigation more predictable for everyone. We are also rolling out an expanded e-justice program that will allow electronic filing, digital service of documents, virtual hearings, and real-time case tracking. For businesses, this means less time wasted traveling to courts, lower costs, and greater transparency. In addition, we are strengthening the ADR mechanisms because we know that not every commercial disagreement needs to become a long, bitter court battle. Sometimes a smarter, faster resolution is simply a better business. We are equally investing in better court infrastructure and security so that justice is not only done, but is seen to be done in environments that inspire confidence. Taken together, these reforms are designed to deliver a justice system that is faster, more accessible, and more predictable. For you in the business community, these are not nice to haves. They are essential imperatives. An efficient court reduces the cost of doing business. A predictable legal environment encourages investment, and a trusted judiciary helps sustain long-term economic growth. But let me be clear, building a truly business-friendly Ghana is not the responsibility of the judiciary alone. It is a shared duty, one that belongs to government, regulators, financial institutions, and especially to all of you in the private sector. The law can provide a framework, but it is your creativity, your discipline, your innovation, and your courage that bring that framework to life. In concluding, I would like to answer the question that I asked at the beginning. What is the Chief Justice doing here? As you deliberate over the next few days on financing, industrialization, market access, and scaling up our local enterprises, I want you to know this: the judiciary of Ghana now stands ready as your reliable partner. We are committed to a system where agreements are honored, rights are protected, and justice is delivered not only fairly, but in good time. In the end, the true strength of our economy will not be measured only by the wealth we generate, but by the certainty and confidence within which that wealth is created and protected. We are working steadily and deliberately to provide that certainty. I wish you very fruitful, honest, and inspiring discussions over the coming days, and I look forward to the meaningful welcomes that will emerge from this beautiful Kwahu gathering. Thank you very much for your attention, and may God bless our homeland. I think I did that in 2.5 minutes.
Another round of applause for His Lordship. His Lordship did not honor my 3 minutes, but who do I report him to? I have no one. You know, I know it's a very formal setting, everybody is very prim and proper, but I've been having this edge. Let me see if we're all in sync. Kwahu. Kwahu. We are in sync. Fantastic. All right, it's not just about gathering here, it's about building connections among many other things. And so we are going to see one of the success stories from last year's edition of the Kwahu Business Forum. So let's watch this video and then we'll proceed from there.
A young dreamer stumbled upon an open invitation from the esteemed Chief of Staff of the President of Ghana, Honorable Julius Deborah, kindly inviting them to come to Imprieso for the Kwahu Business Forum with nothing but the pure essence of a dream in their hearts.
Anybody at all who believes that he has some business interest, no matter how small your business is, you are also allowed to come. Because just like the mustard seed, it appears so small, but once you plant it and you water it, all the big corporations you had started smaller. But people were able to keep to the vision and build it. So as far as criteria in selecting is concerned, so long as you are a Ghanaian business entity, be it an enterprise, be it a corporate, limited liability, you qualify to come.
She then took the bold step of going to the Kwahu Business Forum. There, she had the rare opportunity to meet the managing directors of the Agricultural Development Bank and pitched briefly her ideas to them. The managing director of the Agricultural Development Bank gathered a team. They analyzed, groomed, and helped just like the Chief of Staff promised. Guidance, advisory services, and consultations were offered by the team at the Agricultural Development Bank.
Of it is that as a president, he wants us, as part of the whole objective, to encourage the private sector to lead this. Right. So that it's not going to be government setting it up, so you neglect it. But it's going to be you, the individuals, setting up, but the government creating the enabling environment for you to get access to credit. Tax regime system will be such that you will be encouraged to do it. And so this, answering a very simple question as to how this will not be neglected, is because they are going to own by the individuals.
Together, they took the bold step of presenting to the office of the president. This project, which is focused on outgrower schemes, engaging Ghanaian farmers nationwide, in conjunction with other policies such as the 24-hour economy, will boost the agricultural sector and promote the agenda of resetting Ghana.
And I'm definitely happy that 3 years down the line, there's something to show. You know, most of the time we start these initiatives, and it will take time, we know. But I'm happy that when it comes to the Kwahu Business Forum, which started in 2024, there's something to show. And I believe that going forward, we'll have more of these success stories. Now, speaking on the topic from vision to impact, realizing Ghana's economic potential through strategic support and innovation, let's welcome the CEO of the Ghana Exim Bank, Honorable Sylvester Adinam Mensah.
Thank you very much. Let me start the resetting agenda by saying that this is not a keynote address, it is a statement. A statement that will touch on vision, impact, strategic support, and innovation. A statement. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Deborah, Honorable Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished invited guests, distinguished traditional leaders, colleague chief executives, captains of industry, organizers and sponsors of the Kwahu Business Forum, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me now stand on existing protocols for all those I have left out. It is a pleasure to join you here again at the Kwahu Business Forum. After our engagements last year, we received funding requests from a number of participating businesses. I'm happy to announce that 3 of such businesses have gone through our credit process, met our credit criteria, and secured both management and board approvals awaiting disbursement. I would want to mention Rockma Pharmaceuticals, Nobi Farms, Perfect, and Logistics, and there are many others on the way. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Kwahu has always stood for enterprise, initiative, and the courage to build. It is therefore fitting that we gather here to discuss how we move from vision to impact. Indeed, the topic acknowledges that Ghana does not lack vision, and certainly not under the visionary and transformational leadership of His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama. We know our strengths. We have entrepreneurial energy, we have natural resources, we have a youthful population, we have a strategic place within Africa, and we have real opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our mission is to turn this potential into measurable economic results, to move from discussion to execution, to turn strategy into jobs, production, export, and stronger businesses. The tools required are greater focus, effective coordination, and deliberate investment in the right sectors. And that is exactly what government is poised to do and is doing. Ghana's next phase of growth must be driven by 3 shifts. First, we must produce more of what we consume. Second, we must process more of what we produce. And third, we must export more of what we process. This is how the leadership of President John Dramani Mahama wants to build resilience. This is how the government wants to create jobs at scale. This is how government, or Ghana, would reduce pressure on foreign exchange. And this is what positions Ghana as a serious force in regional and global trade. This is the thinking at the heart of Ghana Exim Bank's 2025 and 2030 strategy. It is not only a banking strategy, it is a practical framework for national economic transformation through food security, value addition, industrialization, and export-led growth. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we know some of the barriers to growth, and yesterday's panel discussed and treated us to a few of them. Yes, too many promising sectors remain underfinanced. Yes, too many Ghanaian businesses have potential, but not enough scale, systems, or support to compete effectively. Yes, too many producers are disconnected from processing, certification, logistics, and export markets. And too often, our efforts are fragmented. This fragmentation has a cost. It is one reason that Ghana continues to spend heavily on imports in areas where we can build stronger domestic capacity. In the presentation by Comrade Guzitano yesterday, he said, and it is true, that we spend over $1 billion annually to import rice and poultry products alone. This is unacceptable. And is the reason His Excellency, the President's vision on the Akukwa Nkitin program is so timely. It is directed at addressing this imbalance, among others. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that is why GESIM's strategy is focused on sectors where targeted intervention can create national impact. We are giving the pride of place to rice production, poultry, garments, and apparel in our funding metrics. These are not random choices. They align with government's Feed Ghana program under the Agriculture for Economic Transformation agenda. They also connect directly to some of Ghana's most urgent economic priorities: food security, job creation, industrialization, import substitution, and foreign exchange stability. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if we strengthen local rice production and processing, we do more than increase supply. We strengthen an entire value chain, from farming and aggregation to milling, packaging, storage, transport, and distribution. If we develop the poultry sector sustainably, the gains go far beyond the farms themselves. We stimulate feed production, hatcheries, veterinary services, processing, cold chain, logistics, and retail. Of course, the poultry value chain includes the production of maize, soya beans, and many others. If we finance garments and apparel subsector, we unlock major employment opportunities, especially for women and young people, while also rebuilding local manufacturing and supporting competitive Ghanaian brands. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, beyond these flagship sectors, we also seek to deepen non-traditional exports. Products such as shea, cocoa, cashew, mango, coconut, processed foods, and other value-added goods offer strong opportunities for growth. The goal is not simply to export more raw materials, as has been articulated on various platforms by His Excellency, the president. The goal is to build competitive value chains that retain more value here in Ghana. That is what meaningful export growth looks like. It is not only about volume, it is about value, it is about competitiveness, and it is about sustainability and long-term national benefit. This is where strategy becomes critical. At GESIM, we see our role as going beyond finance in a narrow sense. Strategic support means helping businesses grow in ways that are commercially viable and nationally impactful. It means providing financing that is aligned to the realities of production and trade while de-emphasizing collateral requirements for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. It means supporting value addition instead of only financing the movement of raw commodities. It means helping firms improve standards, strengthen packaging, and gain access to markets. It means building the capacity of micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises so they can scale and compete. And it means working with both public and private sector to address constraints that no single business can solve in isolation. The roadmap to 2030. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the roadmap to 2030 is clear. The first phase has been laying the foundation. The second phase is about scaling and market penetration. The third phase is about deeper industrialization. And this is where Ghana must consolidate its gains through stronger processing ecosystems, more investment in productive capacity, and a clear position as a regional hub for value-added trade. This sequence matters because transformation is not an event, it is a process. First, we organize, and then we scale. First, we organize, then we scale, and then we compete. And through that process, innovation must remain central. Innovation in this context, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is not only about digital tools and technology setup. Innovation is about solving real economic problems in practical ways. Innovation is how we structure finance to serve production. Innovation is how we use data to make better decisions. Innovation is how we improve traceability, reduce waste, strengthen quality assurance, and connect smaller producers to larger markets. Innovation is how we modernize supply chains and make them more efficient. Innovation is also how we build partnerships and unlock infrastructure, attract investment, and support long-term growth. This is the kind of innovation we need. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we need coordinated investment, we need coordinated infrastructure, we need coordinated support for sectors where Ghana has a clear path to competitiveness. The true test of our strategy is not what we have put on paper, it is what changes in the real economy. Impact means strong local industries. Impact means reduced dependence on imports where Ghana can produce competitively. Impact means more value added at home. Impact means competitive SMEs. Impact means more jobs for young people. Impact means more Ghanaian products entering Africa and global markets with confidence, and impact means a stronger and more resilient economy. Your Excellency, given the requisite financial muscle on a sustained basis, GESIM expects that by 2030, our strategic priorities and targets will yield more than a 60% increase in rice production, no less than 60% sufficiency in poultry production, a 2- to 3-fold increase in revenue from non-traditional exports, over 100,000 new direct jobs, a fourfold increase in foreign exchange revenue from non-traditional exports, and a 40% reduction in imports in selected sectors. These are ambitious targets, and rightly so. Ghana's needs are significant, and the next decade demands more than incremental changes. This is a future that the Ghana Exim Bank is committed to helping build. We see ourselves not only as a financier, but as a catalyst for production, industrial growth, export competitiveness, and strategic partnership. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us choose partnership over fragmentation. Let us build our economy, an economy that is more productive, more innovative, more competitive, and more export-driven. The vision is clear, the opportunity is real, the time to deliver is now, and the visionary leader to lead us through this is seated right here at the Kwahu Forum. His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama. Thank you very much.
We can definitely do better. Another round of applause for him. Thank you very much, the Honorable Sylvester Mensah. And I like the fact that he talks about impact and says what really matters is not what is on paper, but what is felt. And I'm happy because you talk about the fact that by 2030 we should achieve 60% sufficiency in poultry and 60% increase in rice production. I say I like it because then I have something to hold you accountable to. Come again? Okay, that's great. And I mean, I like that because once people say things and they set targets, you can always come back and say, okay, you said you're going to do this, where are we? But you know, when you said you were going to do the reset by just making a statement, it reminded me so much of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbing, and how he pronounces your name. Okay, for those who don't get it, the Speaker somewhere in 2019 was questioning the pronunciation of the name, whether it's Adinam or Edinam, saying, oh, in our land it's supposed to be Edinam. He doesn't understand why that should be Adinam, but I'm sure for those who are from the southern part of the Volta region can understand. And talking about the Speaker, let's get to Parliament, because we need to hear from parliamentarians, and the leaders have their representatives here, and they'll be speaking on their commitment to the sustenance of Ghanaian businesses. We'll start from the minority, and the minority is represented by a deputy minority whip and member of parliament for Weja Agbawe, Jari Ahmed Shaib. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Nananum, Your Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Julius Deborah, Chief of Staff, the rep of the respected Majority Leader, Mr. Ales Apaodade, KGL Group Chairman, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, my Lord Paul Bafuboni, Honorable Ministers, senior government officials, business leaders and partners, members of the organizing committee of this forum, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am honored to represent the minority leader, Osayin Alexander Kwamena Afenyo Markin, who regrets his inability to be with us in person. I will deliver his remarks in full as prepared for this important occasion. Mr. President, it's a distinct privilege to address you and all here gathered on this third edition of the Kwahu Business Forum, an important platform that continues to inspire fresh thinking about Ghana's economic future. while reminding us that the future of our nation is deeply intertwined with the active participation of the private sector, particularly the strength of its indigenous businesses and the vision of its entrepreneurs. Mr. President, the theme for this year, and I quote, leaders committing to sustenance of Ghanaian businesses, unquote, places a clear responsibility on everyone in this room to show through action that Ghana's business community has people who will stand with it when it matters. Sustenance is a purposeful word. It implies active, deliberate, and sustained commitment to ensuring that Ghanaian businesses do more than survive the conditions they face. Today, as we are here, that commitment begins with honest acknowledgement of what those conditions currently are, and it demands that leaders, wherever they sit, take responsibility for changing what is within their power to change. The Minority Caucus comes to this forum not simply to speak, but to be held to that standard. The minority leader, who has spent over 2 decades in both public service and private enterprise, he understands the hurdles that define the entrepreneurial journey, what it means to raise capital, to innovate through constraints, and to stay resilient in the face of shifting market dynamics and a fragile entrepreneurial ecosystem. These experiences have deepened his conviction that entrepreneurship is nation building. It is precisely because of this that as political leaders, Mr. President, we have a responsibility to depoliticize entrepreneurship, to create an ecosystem where business owners can operate without fear of being tagged or targeted. When we politicize local enterprise, we create an uneven playing field that stifles innovation and discourages risk-taking. When this happens, it is foreign businesses that stand tall, and they dominate our markets while our indigenous enterprises are made to struggle. That cannot be the path to sustainable growth. Mr. President, whilst we celebrate enterprise and actively cultivate an environment where hard work and creativity are rewarded, the success of a business should never depend on which political regime is in power, nor should it be stifled by partisan labels. Our role as political leaders is not to frustrate any private sector actor, but to foster a fair and enabling environment where merit, innovation, and hard work is rewarded. Mr. President, and as we nurture this culture of enterprise, we must also take a hard look as to how we extend opportunity, particularly to the youth. They must be supported when they demonstrate potential, creativity, and drive. The Minority Caucus has spent recent weeks in structured engagements with the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, with the Ghana Employers Association, GEA, and the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. We also listened to farmers and SME operators across sectors. What we heard is sobering, and it bears directly on the theme of this forum. The current lending rate stands at 10.70%. Lending rates for SMEs continue to range well above that benchmark, with most banking pricing one-year SME loans significantly higher. Once margins, fees, and associated charges are applied, between 60 and 80% of Ghana's small businesses do not survive their first 5 years, largely because they cannot access affordable credit at the tenure their investment cycles actually require. The banking sector's collateral requirements lock out most SMEs before the conversation about rates even begins, and the maximum loan tenure commercially available remains wholly inadequate for manufacturing and agro-processing enterprises that need patient capital to grow. A headline lending rate of 10.70 means nothing to an industrialist who cannot meet the collateral threshold to assess it, or who is offered a 2-year facility for an investment that requires 10 years. The financial sector's mandate to support indigenous enterprise cannot be fulfilled under these conditions. We cannot preach entrepreneurship while the system we preside over makes capital structurally inaccessible to the entrepreneur we are preaching to. Mr. President, the AGI has documented manufacturing lines running below capacity, not because of weak demand, but because the energy cost of food production exceeds the price at which the product can profitably be sold. That is not a market problem. That is a policy problem. Import VAT, excise duties, the NHIL, and the Get Fund levy are paid simultaneously by the same businesses on the same transactions. The combined burden of these obligations on a single producer in a single sector has never been properly assessed in its totality by this government. This administration came into office with a mandate to improve the business environment. Instead, it has added to the burden, left the architecture unreformed, and offered industry nothing but more levies and less consultation, Mr. President. The manufacturer is being squeezed from both ends, caused that this government will not reduce an import competition that it cannot match. No business can plan for growth in such an environment. Mr. President, the publican trade solution has been deployed for excise duty assessments without independent validation against an unreformed duty schedule and without a functioning appeals mechanism. Compliant businesses have faced assessments several times higher than what identical past consignments attracted, with no recourse and no explanation. The affected business community learned that an appeal mechanism was even being considered just one day before their engagement with us as the Minority Caucus. This is not how a government that champions enterprise should treat its business community. The pattern that has emerged across our engagements with industry is as troubling, and we will display that as follows. It is consistent. Policy is conceived, drafted, and announced, and industry is invited to a meeting afterwards and told that that constitutes consultation. Mr. President, I'll take that again. The pattern that has emerged across our engagements with industry is as troubling as it is consistent. Policy is conceived, drafted, and announced, and industry is now invited to a meeting afterwards. That constitutes consultation. Across every sector, our caucus has engaged, from employers to manufacturers to traders. The same experience is reported, Mr. President. Formal representations submitted and ignored, legislative changes effected without prior engagement, and regulatory decisions imposed on the very businesses that must live with their consequences. Effective pre-legislative consultation is a structural requirement of sound economic governance, and its persistent absence is not a minor procedural failing. It is a policy failure with real cost, measured in factories that are uncompetitive, investments that are not made, and jobs that do not exist. The role of the financial sector in the growth of indigenous businesses cannot be overstated. For our economy to succeed, we must ensure that financial institutions play a more proactive role in supporting local enterprises by creating the opportunities that will allow these businesses to grow and ultimately contribute to job creation on a national scale. The 24-hour economy on my mind. It is imperative, Mr. President, that the financial sector adjust its approach, becoming more attuned to the needs of small and medium-sized enterprises, particularly those led by young Ghanaian entrepreneurs. We must bridge the gap between access to finance and entrepreneurial potential by developing financial products and solutions tailored to the specific challenges faced by our local businesses. Mr. President, by doing so, we will cultivate industries that are sustainable, that are innovative, and grounded in the realities of our local context. This shift will help transform the business landscape, making local enterprises the backbone of our economy and key drivers of job creation. National leadership is not confined to parliamentary business. It is about shaping a stable and sustainable environment where all businesses and citizens can flourish. We in the minority, though not in government, are actively seeking to push an agenda that strengthens Ghana's economic foundations. We are advocating for policy stability, predictable legislation, and economic direction that reflects the realities on the ground. Businesses need policy stability to plan ahead. They need a legislative framework that is clear and predictable. They need an economic direction that reflects the realities on the ground, and we take the responsibility seriously. Mr. President, we therefore set out the following clear actions, and we expect to be held to them. First, we will advocate and push for a statutory pre-legislative consultation framework that requires meaningful engagement with various stakeholders before any major economic bill is introduced or government policy is announced. Second, we will demand a full assessment of the combined impact of taxes, levies, and tariffs on businesses before any new fiscal measures are introduced. Third, we will press for full parliamentary scrutiny of the AI-driven customs assessment system at the port and hold government to account until a credible and accessible appeals process is in place for every business adversely affected by inflated assessments. Fourth, we will table formal parliamentary motions calling for an independent review of utility tariff structures alongside a transparent and time-bound tariff roadmap that allows businesses to plan with certainty. Fifth, we will advocate for ring-fenced investment in technical and vocational education with clear outcomes tied directly to industry needs and protected from budgetary diversions. Sixth, we will establish a structured quarterly parliamentary engagement with organized businesses. This will be a working mechanism where concerns are tracked, followed through, and carried into all relevant parliamentary processes. Seventh and the final one. We will push for targeted reforms in SME financing, including longer tenure credit facilities, aligned with industrial investment cycles, and a review of collateral requirements that currently exclude viable businesses from accessing credit. Mr. President, in conclusion, I wish to acknowledge the contribution of all the industry players present today. Let this forum be not merely a platform for dialogue, but the beginning of sustained structure support for entrepreneurship in Ghana, so that together we can forge a path forward. We can forge a path toward a brighter and a more prosperous economic future. To the entrepreneurs and businesses present, I urge you to take full advantage of the opportunities before you. Invest boldly in your dreams, for they are the foundations of our collective future. And to the financial sector, the Minority Caucus stands ready to work with you to champion the legislative and policy environment that makes it possible for your institutions to become genuine engines of indigenous enterprise. But that partnership must begin with honest engagement, with industry and with parliament, and on the real conditions businesses face on the ground. Mr. President, whilst I sit down, let me also commend you for granting approval of a multilateral visa agreement for all African countries, save that it was started by President Akufo-Addo. Thank you very much.
We can definitely do better. Another round of applause for the Member of Parliament for Wejagbawe and Deputy Minority Whip Jerry Ahmed Shaib. And I like the fact that, you talk about Ghanaian businesses, the fact that we should depoliticize businesses, we should focus on growing businesses. I'm also happy as a farmer, you're talking about patient capital. It's something we lack in this country, because anytime you want to access funds, you look at everything and ask yourself, is it really worth it? It's because sometimes You go for these funds, no moratorium, you're expected to pay. You're not yielding any results also. So there's always the need to be giving time. Like our people say, give time some time. We'll now hear from the majority, represented by the Member of Parliament for Afram Plains North, the Honorable Walasi Belly. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you for the opportunity. And Your Excellency, as for our colleagues on the other side, they are like the proverbial 83 mother who cooks boko boko and tell the children there's banku under. You only finish the boko boko, get full to know that there is no banku. So when he talks about depoliticization, he's full of the quote of politicization. But well, they guide us to do better. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Ghana, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers present, Honorable colleagues of Parliament present here, heads of state-owned enterprises, distinguished captains of industry, development partners, entrepreneurs and innovators, our revered traditional leaders, Nananum, members of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here to remark on the Kwahu Business Forum platform on behalf of the majority side and on behalf of my able leader, which we refer to as the Supreme Leader and the Leader of Government Business. I capture his remarks here exactly as though it's from his mouth. He is unavoidably on a mission that would not allow him to be here. It is a privilege and an honor to address this distinguished audience at this important occasion of the Kwahu Business Forum, a platform that has rapidly and increasingly evolved into a strategic convergence point for policy, enterprise, and investment. The theme of this forum, where business meets opportunities, succinctly captures the desire of the government to bridge the gap between investment and opportunities in the quest to enhance and promote businesses and investments across the country. I must start by commending the organizers of this forum on how they have deliberately structured the forum with the goal of making participants get the best out of it. More so, the forum is curated in a way that directly speaks to the real constraints and opportunities within the country's business ecosystem that entails inadequate access to finance and formalization to industrialization through local sourcing and the development of export-ready enterprise. The forum spanning policy dialogues, investor pitches, exhibitions, and masterclass, which accurately reflects a deliberate national effort to seek to bridge the gap between governance and enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to humbly admit that this point that economic transformation cannot be engineered by the government alone. Given historical occurrences and empirical evidence which can be referenced in other development countries, economic development can be decisively driven by resilient, innovative, and well-supported private sector. Parliament, as the legislation-making body, fully recognizes this reality as such has worked to help create an enabling environment where business can survive, thrive, scale, and compete globally. It is in this regard that over the years, Parliament has worked assiduously to pass various legislation that seeks to empower the private sector in the country. Some of this legislation include, but not limited to, the investment promotion laws that were enacted to help promote investment in the country. Notable among one, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act, 2013, Act 865. That establishes the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, with the goal of creating the incentive framework and investor facilitation systems to govern both foreign and domestic investments and to provide investment guarantees. 2, the Free Zones Act 1995, Act 504. That also establishes the free zones for exports-oriented businesses to offer tax holidays, duty exemptions, and full repatriation of profits. Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, that's 3. This act guarantees transferability of profits, dividends, and capital, which are all critical for foreign investor confidence. The quest to provide a conducive and level playing field for business to thrive also saw Parliament enact legislation such as the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, that helped to modernize company law regime by simplifying business registration and corporate governance. Some tax regimes have been major burden to business, and such Parliament enacted legislations to rationalize the tax regime that regulates the business community. In regards, legislation such as the Income Tax 2015, the Value Added Tax 2013, Customs Act 2015, and Ghana Revenue Authority Act 2009 were all enacted in this regard. The quest to provide the needed support to business in accessing finance, ensure financial stability, investment flows, saw Parliament enacting the financial sector and banking laws to help regulate the financial sector, which is the fulcrum around which businesses revolve. In view of this, some legislations were also enacted in the financial sector. Key among them are the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institution Act 2016, Act 930. This sought to strengthen banking sector regulations and improve confidence in financial institutions in the country. In the areas of trade, industry, labor and employment, intellectual property and innovation, specific legislations have been enacted to help regulate these sectors and provide incentives for growth. In all, I can confidently say that after spending over 2 decades in the House, he, the majority leader, have witnessed the enactment of robust, innovative legislative frameworks that promote investment inflows, protect investor interests, facilitate business formation and growth, and enhance sectorial development. These laws put together collectively position our dear country as one of the most structured and investment-ready economies of the African continent. I must reiterate that the discussions that are outlined in this forum, particularly the cost of doing business, access to finance beyond traditional banking, transitioning into formal sector, industrialization through local sourcing, are not abstract conversations. They are the very issues that Parliament must confront through responsive legislation, effective oversight, and sustained stakeholder engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most significant features of this forum is the tactical, deliberate integration of policy makers with business leaders within the space. The presence of key state and non-state institutions reflects a whole of government approach to economic development and rightly aligns with the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to see Ghana embark on massive industrialization and move from commodity trading to value addition. Many decades after independence, this has been the reality we have seen. I want to assure you all that Parliament will leverage on the outcome of the various discussions held during this forum to help inform policy debates, guide conversations, and legislative priorities. Ghana continues to remain one of the most attractive investment destinations in the Sahel region. Our political stability, strategic location, youthful and highly skilled labor force, expanding market-based positions the country as the gateway to the African continental free trade area after. Nonetheless, potential alone is not enough. The country must work actively to, 1, reduce the cost of doing business. 2, strengthen infrastructure and logistics. 3, improve tax administration. And 4, promote digital transformation across sectors. The investor pitches and exhibitions at this forum are a clear demonstration that Ghana businesses are ready. What they require is sustained support, access to markets, and a policy environment that rewards innovation and compliance. I will therefore admonish entrepreneurs and business leaders to be bold, assertive, and take advantage of the opportunities that are presented by the institutions present here. I dare you to position your business not just for survival, but for scale and export competitiveness. To the financial institutions and investors present here with us, I would also urge you to go risk aversion and invest in Ghanaian enterprises. The resilience of the Ghanaian to succeed is the best guarantee that anyone can afford, and I promise that you will be investing in the next multi-billion industries in their formative years. The future of our economy depends on your willingness to back innovation and growth. To colleagues in Parliament and government, I beseech us, listen carefully to the voices emerging from this forum. Let us translate the conversation into concrete policy actions. Lastly, I will say that the Kwahu Business Forum is more than an event. It is a statement in intent. It signals the country's commitment to building a business-friendly, economic-driven by partnership, innovation, and strategic policy alignment. I am confident that the deliberations here will contribute meaningfully to shaping the country's economic trajectory. Let us work together, government, Parliament, and the private sector, to build a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Ghana. I thank you all for your attention. Long live Kwahu land, long live Ghana. Thank you.
Another round of applause for him, please. We are moving right to the point that many people have been looking forward to, the presidential keynote address. And the president will be speaking on the theme, accelerating private sector growth and industrial transformation in Ghana. Can we all stand up and welcome the president as he addresses us? With a round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. Kindly be seated. I have a prepared speech, but I'm wondering whether I need to read the speech. I've heard enough to be able to have a conversation with all of you. And so I'll start by how this whole event began. It was conceived in the back of a Toyota Land Cruiser, which myself and my younger brother Julius always occupied the back seat when I went on campaigns. In 2023, we crisscrossed the length and breadth of this country. And we're talking about, dreaming about what we could do when we get the mandate from the people of Ghana to govern this country. And we're talking about tourism and how we can improve things. And then the issue of Kwahu Easter came up. And we talked about the whole Kwahu Easter program and how we can add a business angle to it. Everybody knows the genesis of coming back home to Kwahu. Kwahu is the biggest homecoming event in the country, easily. And it came from the fact that the Kwahu people are business people and traders. And so often they are spread all over the country, from Sunyani to Tamale to Bolgatanga, Accra, Ho, everywhere, doing their business. And so Easter was the time when they had a clear break where they could close their shops and their businesses and come back and greet family at home. But also they have this tendency to accumulate funerals. And so they could also come and pay respects to their dead and all that. In 2006, during President Kufuor's time, and I remember the late Ferdinand Ayim, he gave a tourist boost to the whole Easter homecoming. And so they added the paragliding and so many other events to the Kwahu Easter. And so when we were thinking, myself and Julius, we said, look, it should not just be entertainment and enjoyment and all that. Considering the nature of the Kwahu people and their business acumen, let's also use it as an opportunity to create a forum where the business people can come and network and interact and see how to manage their businesses even better. And so the first one we did was in 2024. We were still in opposition. We had the audacity to hold a Kwahu Business Forum. And there are a few people, businessmen I want to thank. K. Ofori, NS Chemist, I think, Metalex, Font Tissue. Some of them I know by their businesses, not their names. The Rockstars and a few others. Seconds, East Cantonments, and all of them. It was a makeshift tent. And I remember they came and sat here. And in those days, it was dangerous to be identified with the opposition, so it took a bit of courage for them to come to that event. But it was a very simple, successful event. And I think at that event, I made a promise that if we win power, we're going to make this a permanent annual event, and that we're going to make it one of the biggest business forums that takes place annually in this country. And I promised that I was going to drag my ministers, the bank managers, the leaders of SOEs and everybody, if I become president, to come and attend the forum. And so last year, we brought almost everybody. All the banks were here, fintechs, small and medium enterprises and everybody. And they saw how useful it was. The networking and all that was very useful. And so this year, they are here again in their numbers. And we said that we will have all of them reporting what they've been able to do after they left the forum of last year. And so I'm happy that our MD for Ghana Exim has been able to give us a report about 3 businesses that they are supporting. And I wish that they will support some more. I know they have constraints of funding, but we'll soon come out of the IMF program. They've been trying to raise some credit so that they can expand financing of Ghanaian businesses. But when we come out of the IMF program, that constraint would have been removed. And I know one of the companies especially that has gotten assistance, Nobi Farms. I was there about 2 weeks ago, and it's impressive what Nobi Farms has done. 7,000 hectares of rice under irrigation, all year round harvesting of rice. And this financing is to allow them to install a mill to be able to mill their own rice and bag it and make it ready for the market. So this is a very critical source of credit. We want to take this whole thing a step further. And so we are working with Metalex and Trazaco to build a permanent convention, conference, and exhibition center on this site. And so we want it to become a center for conferences and exhibitions, not only in Ghana, but for organizations that come from outside Ghana to come and hold conferences and exhibitions here. And so they are thinking of a permanent convention center, you know, space for performances, meetings, exhibitions, and then we're also going to improve the whole road network in the Kwahu area so that the congestion that is normally created will reduce. And ultimately, we want to have an airstrip here so that flights can come in, both domestically and people coming from outside who want to come and attend conferences. And so the business forum is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm sure that any subsequent government that comes will continue to be a patron of the Kwahu Business Forum. But let me report to you, since we came back into government, I was here last year. Can somebody read what is on that placard there? I can't see what he has written. Somebody's raising up a placard. I think he wants to draw my attention to something. But I'm saying, since we came here last year, I gave some Ghana is a land of free speech, and so I'm sure he has some beef with somebody. And so whoever he has a beef with, I beg you, go and engage him. And so, since the last forum, I'm happy to report to you that the business environment is much, much, much better than it was before. Business confidence has come back, foreign direct investment is increasing, and even domestic investment is increasing. In addition, government's appetite for debt has gone down. And so we're borrowing less from the treasury market, we're borrowing less from the banks, and so the crowding out effect that used to occur, where the private sector had no access to credit, the banks now are holding huge liquidities, and they must find somebody to lend it to because government won't take it. Treasury bill rates are low, so if you put your money in treasury bills, you won't get much. And so you must look to the private sector to give financing. And I'm happy that the Ghana reference rate has come down. And so interest rates have come down. Interest rates in 2024 were about 32%. Today, I heard of somebody who borrowed at 10%, 9%. And so I think that it creates a much better environment than we had before. In addition, inflation is down, and so it allows us to have more predictable pricing. Our constant focus had been on macroeconomic stability, to stabilize the macroeconomic environment, and we have done so. And also to create a more resilient economy. As we said, shocks will come. You cannot predict external events, but you must create an economy that is able to withstand those shocks. I know Iran and Israel and all have been fighting. So far, our economy has shown some resilience. We have almost 6 months of export cover. We have about 6 weeks. We have about 6 weeks of petroleum stock in our tanks, and so there's no danger of us running out of petroleum within the next 6 weeks. Even as we're using the reserve stocks, we also are replenishing it, and so there's no danger that we would have queues at filling stations and other places. In addition, and indeed the most important event that has taken place since last year is the performance of the Ghanaian currency. The currency has stabilized, and it has made the investment environment more predictable for business people. And so even levies and duties at the port are lower. And that's why I tell importers, I don't see any reason why you should try and underdeclare your imports, because the bank rates determine the levies at the port, and the levies are fixed in dollars. And in 2024, you were bringing your goods in, and you were paying the equivalent CD of $16 or $15, whatever it is. Today, you are paying the equivalent of $10.9 CD to the dollar. So it means that automatically your duties and levies have come down in CD terms. So there should be no incentive for anybody to still want to cheat government. But we know that they say in every house there's a Mensa. People would, if they have the opportunity, do it. And so it leads me to one of the things Jerry said about AI. Digitalization and artificial intelligence is being employed. It's something whose time has come. The system Ghana is using today is so far being used by 21 other countries. And so it is something whose time has come, and the Ministry of Finance has started implementing it. I've heard a few complaints about unfair, imposition in terms of what duties and levies have to be paid. And so the ministry has an appeal system. So far, it is held 2 days in a week. I have advised that they increase the number of days. And so if you get your invoice and it's a legitimate invoice, and of course, sometimes AI and any digitalization can get things wrong. And so if you have your legitimate invoice and you think that have been imposed are higher than you actually should pay, I'm sure if they are lower, you even decide to appeal, you'll be happy and go away. But if they are higher, then you normally take it to the appeal. They go through the process and they vet your invoice. And if it is justified that, yes, you have been overcharged, the appropriate duties and levies are reduced. And so we'll increase the number of appeal days. So far, it's the minister who has been chairing the appeal process. I think that the deputy minister and others can chair additional appeal process, maybe even 5 times a week, so that anybody who has any issue can go up there and challenge it. But when you get a stronger currency, you also must look at the other side, the exporters. Because the importers are happy when the currency appreciates, but the exporters are also not happy because the same dollar that they bring, they get less CDs for their dollar. And that's why I've always said that we're not looking for a strong currency. We're not looking for a strong CD. We're looking for a stable CD. A stable CD that is predictable, and we know that it will not decline or depreciate more than 5% of its value in a whole year. That's the kind of currency we're looking for. And so we'll continue to work to make sure that our cedi, our currency, is stable so that it can create a predictable environment for our private sector. We've lowered taxes. We took out the e-levy, we took out the COVID levy. Indeed, our VAT rate was the highest in Africa. Today, with the reductions and the removal of some of the VAT taxes that were imposed, our effective VAT rate has come to 20%. Now we're going to do some reforms in the VAT area. And already we've said that businesses that are below a threshold of 700,000 are excluded from the VAT taxation. We're also going to improve the efficiency of collection of the VAT. And let me say that if we improve efficiency of tax collection, the incidence of tax on individuals, if we're collecting VAT more efficiently, we can decide to reduce the effective VAT rate so that it makes things cheaper, it makes our industrialists able to invest more. And so I'm happy Alex talked about good corporate citizenship. And I'm looking forward to when he goes and presents his 150 million CD check to GRA. And I encourage all you, the big businesses, don't hide and go and present your checks. Go and stand there with GRA and let them receive the check. Let's see that you're paying your taxes and you're good corporate citizens. Alex talked about succession planning. And I believe that that's something that we need to do. Because even in local businesses, that is the informal sector. Growing up as a teenager in Tamale, there was a popular Tozafi joint. And I think she was called Ayi or Ma'amina or something. And if you were growing up in Tamale and you didn't eat that TZ, then you really were not a Tamale resident. And I went back to Tamale at a point, and I wanted to eat TZ. And I asked, is this business still running? And they said, oh, yes. I don't remember the name. Oh, she died, but her daughter has taken it over. That is effective succession. Like Alex was saying, the major problem with most Ghanaian businesses, the founder, once the founder is gone, then there's no proper succession planning. Relatives start quarreling over the business, and before you see, the business goes under. So we don't have sustained businesses. Businesses rise and they collapse. Businesses rise, new ones come and they collapse. And so let's, even as we're growing our businesses, we're talking about scaling up. I mean, if you're scaling up, you must have proper succession planning. Because if you grow from a small enterprise into a big enterprise, we don't want the founder one day when he's not there to have that business collapse. So there should be succession planning. It can be a family business. And so you must identify one of your children, if you want to make it a family business, to come into the business early and understudy you. And I'm going to say for one company that is doing well, and that is Kasapreku. The owner of Kasapreku is my friend, and he told me, I've done enough, I'm retiring to my village. He's gone to his village, he's planted cocoa farms, he's looking after chickens. He's asked me to come and take a look at what he's doing in the village. And his son is running the company, and the company is even growing bigger than when their father ran it. So succession planning is something we must look at. And then Alex also talked about permanent startups. Companies that never grow. Every day they are startups. Every day they are startups. The thing is, we must also introduce mergers and takeovers. And so for the big businesses, you must be looking at the startups. And if you think that you can take it and invest in it and grow it to the next level, you can do that. Because sometimes the managerial competence of the one who has started the business is not enough to take it to the next level. That is why he remains a constant startup. And so if there are businesses that are startups, they have constraints of credit, but you can raise credit because the banks know you and they'll give you money. You can take that business over. You can let the startup owners have some small equity in it, and then you take the business and take it to the next level. We have mergers. You can merge companies. That is how it's done outside. There are actually people who are experts in startups. And so they take a business, they grow it, it has a lot of potential, and then he looks for a big company and he sells it off, and the company takes it over. He takes the money, goes and invests and starts another business. Until we are prepared to be able to take some of these bold decisions, we'll continue to have problems. And so we shouldn't be afraid to take over companies and also to invest in smaller companies and take them to the next level. With regards to the 24-hour economy initiative, credit to Parliament, they've passed the 24-hour authority bill. And so we're in the process of setting up the offices and employing the officers into the authority. They will begin the registration of companies under the 24-hour initiative. And I believe that there are many companies that already are working multiple shifts. Centuo and all of them are already working multiple shifts. So many of them would be among the first to register their companies as 24-hour initiative companies. And there are several incentives you will get. I announced one of them. If you decide to expand your factory and you're bringing plant and equipment, you bring it in duty-free. And so those are some of the incentives for existing businesses that already are running 3 shifts who register on the 24-hour economy. Aside from that, you will have fast-track clearing of all your imports at the port. If you're a 24-hour economy registered business, you would remove your containers within 24 hours of their arriving at the port. So there are several incentives that will be got, but they'll be spelled out, and Parliament will go back to Parliament to approve the incentives, because it's only Parliament that can give some of these waivers and exemptions. And so when we do that, we'll all be clear about what the incentives under it are. I can't not talk about political victimization. That has been one of the banes of our private sector. Many companies start, and because Ghana is a democratic country, potentially every 8 years there's a change over in government. And often, if a business is seen to be associated with one party or the other, then victimization begins. And so, like Jerry said, it is something that we should not encourage. I don't have political colors when I look at the Ghanaian private sector. And so, many times, when we started this Big Push program, and the Big Push program is transformative because it's injecting investment into the road sector especially. This is the biggest investment in the road sector in the history of Ghana. We're doing more than 2,000 kilometers of roads at the same time. And the thing about the construction sector is that it stimulates the economy. And so sometimes when economies are sluggish, governments intentionally invest in construction because the construction companies buy cement, and so the Keoforis and others of this world will have cement to sell. The cement factories will have cement to sell. They buy iron rods, so the iron rod distributors will be able to sell. They have to buy fuel for their trucks, so the petrol fuel station people benefit. They service their machines, and so the car dealers and the earth-moving companies who sell those equipment benefit because they service the machines. Our mechanics get jobs to do. They employ young engineers, civil engineers and other engineers, and several of the sites I've gone to inspecting the Big Push programs. I've been very pleased to see young engineers who have come out of our various institutions, who are the site engineers at the site where the Big Push is taking place. And many of them, young women engineers. You go and she's in a helmet and they say, this is a site engineer. I feel very proud when I see that. Carpenters, steel benders, everybody gets work when the construction industry is working. Food vendors who go to the site and sell a little wache and banku and kenke also make something to go home with. Car dealers, when the contractors get paid, they go and buy a Land Cruiser for themselves. Car dealers also benefit. And even the spouses, the wives, and the side chicks also benefit. Because when they are paid and they get something, they give their wives and side chicks, some of the money. And that's an important avenue because you know where that one too goes. When the spouses and the side chicks too get, hairdressers get, dressmakers get, jewelry shops get, handbag sellers get. So don't discount that one at all. So let me get back to the point. So when we were doing all this Big Push program, somebody came and said, look, they're distributing it, they're giving it to MPP contractors. And I said, and so? Don't they have the capacity to do the job? Oh, yes, they have, but they enjoyed when their party was there. It's time for NDC contractors too. And I said, look, they have the capacity, they have the equipment, they employ Ghanaians, they don't employ Togolese or people from some other country. And so why not? Anybody who has the capacity to be able to move the project should be given it. Because for me, it's not about who does the project. For me, the credit is that at the end of my term of office, I was able to repair all those roads, no matter who did it. And so, political victimization is real. But I also encourage companies to become independent. We must not all rely on government supplies. And so there are people whose businesses are built on government patronage. And so if government changes, then easily it says, oh, okay, we won't do this for you. We've canceled this contract, we've done this. There are a lot of companies, government really has to even encourage them and reward them for what they are doing. And so we must create an environment where the regulation is fair, everybody has the same opportunity, and everybody is able to get a good return on their investment. Because if our private sector gets a good return on its investment, then it's going to reinvest that money to expand their businesses or even to put it in real estate. And all that goes to improve the gross domestic product of Ghana. And so we should look at that. One of the major areas that I must talk about is the power sector. The power sector has been a drag on Ghana's economy for a long time. And so when we came into office, we made our minds that we will fix the issues in the power sector. And I'm pleased to report to you that we have cleared up a lot of the debt in the power sector. When we came into office, we had a debt overhang of about $1.7 billion, not cedis, dollars, owed to the independent power producers. We sat down with them, we agreed on a roadmap. Since Ghanaians were all taking haircuts from the debt restructuring, we told them they also must take haircuts. And so they agreed on the haircuts. I think it amounted to about 20% of what was owed. And then we also agreed on payment terms. And if they signed on to it, we gave them an immediate down payment. And we gave them the dates for the subsequent payments. That's for the legacy debt. And I must say that since we signed with them, we've been meeting those payments regularly. But the good thing is, the best announcement is, we are keeping up with their present day bills. And so when they submit the bills, so while we are dealing with the legacy debt, any bill they submit every month, we pay them for the electricity consumed. And that is just by tweaking ECG a bit, changing the management, reducing procurement. ECG was procuring, let me give you an example, street lights that can light from Accra to Burkina Faso. And yet, they were still procuring more street lights. You go to the Ministry of Energy yard there. We will fix those street lights and every district in this country will be lighted up. But the more important thing that should be procured is transformers. And transformers were not being procured. So today the exercise ECG is doing is replacing transformers. And so they're having to procure additional transformers to replace the old transformers. Because when you put a transformer here, you put it based on the size of the location it's serving. After several years, you know how our urban centers are growing. And so you find that more people finish their houses and they connect, and suddenly the transformer is not powerful enough to provide electricity to the whole area. So you need to come and take that transformer out and put a bigger transformer in its place. And so that's the exercise ECG is doing all over. So sometimes when your light goes off, it's because of the work they are doing to improve the power supply in your area. But after we changed the management of ECG, aside from the huge procurements that were being done, they were also not collecting enough of their revenue. They were making almost 42% losses, commercial and technical losses. And so revenue that was collected monthly was about 900 million, 1 billion, maybe 1.1 billion. Since the new management came, revenue collection has jumped up to 1.9 billion in one instance, almost 2 billion. And then we had what we call the waterfall mechanism. And so all that money was supposed to go into the waterfall mechanism. And the first thing we do is we take out the money for ECG's own expenses, their salaries and other administrative expenses. And then the rest of the money, the next charge is to pay the independent power producers. And then another part goes to procurement. But in the past, when the money comes, ECG will take what it wants. So this is what is available for the waterfall mechanism. So you people share this one. And obviously it wasn't enough. And so it kept leading to a deficit. So now the deficit is not going up because we're paying them monthly for the power produced. And we've reached agreement with them to pay down the legacy debt. In addition, one positive development is that we're running more of our thermal plants on gas. And we're no longer importing crude oil to run them. We import the crude oil, but we keep it just in case there's a trip. Sometimes West African gas power plants, the power line, the pipeline goes off. And so you have to turn some of the thermal plants into liquid fuel. They are binary plants. They can use liquid fuel or gas. But currently, most of our power plants are using gas. And that's also because we've paid back the guarantee that the World Bank gave ENI to produce the gas. And also, we're paying ENI and the Jubilee partners for all the gas they are supplying. And so they are increasing their volumes. They've actually increased their volumes, both ENI and Jubilee. So now we have more gas to feed our power plants. And of course, we're getting gas from Nigeria, from the Nigerian, the West African gas power plant. So we are all concerned about what is happening in Iran and Israel. It has led an increase in petroleum prices from $68 per barrel to almost $120 per barrel. And so the low fuel prices we used to enjoy, which was about 10, 11 cedis per liter, has suddenly gone up. For petrol, it's 13 point something, and for diesel, I see 15 point something, 16. We're all praying that that conflict will come to an end sooner than later. But I must assure you that this economy is more resilient than it was in the past. So I can confidently tell you that the economy is not going to crash because of the war. I've called for an emergency cabinet meeting to decide some measures we can take to cushion the petroleum price while we expect that the war comes to an end. There are some tweaking we can do in terms of levies and margins and other things in order to maintain a stable price while we pray that the war comes to an end. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the transport unions, for being very patient with us. All of us didn't expect this was coming. They have held on with increasing fares, and I'm sure that they will continue to hold on with any fare increases while we all see how we can make things better. And so, like I said, we're all happy, and one of the good things about this Kwahu Business Forum is the panel discussions. It gives us the opportunity to bring people who are in positions where they can give us more information and interact with us, the ministers, and I'm happy that Gumzi Tano, who led the whole 24-hour initiative, had an opportunity to do a panel discussion yesterday, and there he talked about a $3 billion imports bill. There are some things that we do not have a comparative advantage to import, to produce, and so we necessarily must import those things. But if you look at our food import bill, the majority of the things there are things that we have a comparative advantage to produce. We have the land, we have the water, we have the sunshine. And so it's still quite a shame that we have to import things like that. Recently, when Burkina Faso announced a ban on fresh tomato exports to Ghana, people say it's going to be an emergency, there'll be a crisis, there'll be a shortage of tomato. Why should that be the case when they even produce in the Sahelian region? We have better climates and conditions for producing tomato here. But it also triggered a response. And so the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Finance have come together to initiate crisis tomato production in Ghana. So we're building 60-hectare irrigated lands that would have water for all year-round tomato farming. But it's not enough to just grow the tomatoes. We should also put in the processing capacity so that we won't have tomato gluts like we are having with other products. And so we should start thinking outside the box. The Minister of Finance is going to come to Parliament with a comprehensive document on the new economy we want to build in Ghana. And so when it's ready, we'll circulate it, you'll take a look at it, it will come to Parliament, the people's representatives will debate it. But agriculture and agribusiness is going to be one of the priorities. We're going to select specific areas where government is going to intentionally mobilize investment to go into. And so those areas are being selected, and we intentionally mobilize both our own resources and any resources that we can get externally to invest in those areas so that we'll get measurable outcomes within the shortest possible time. And so that will come to Parliament, and I'm sure that it will give us the opportunity to be able to grow our country faster. We want to move from just stabilizing the economy and growing the economy to creating more jobs. And so the new economy's focus will be on job creation, things that generate a lot of jobs. And I'm sure that private sector will take an interest. It is going to be private sector driven. Government is not going to own or run any of those projects. We will leverage the investment, but the private sector will be the one to establish the projects and run the projects. So these are some of the things that are coming up. And even though I had a speech, I think I will not inflict the speech on you. I've had enough to say. And so I want to thank all of you who have come. And to say that we will welcome you again next year. When you come next year, there will be better road network, improved roads, and maybe the convention center would have started. And so all of you, you are welcome, and thank you very much for coming.
Another huge round of applause for His Excellency the President. And what His Excellency did was to address all the issues that have been raised. I like that. I like that. Another round of applause. You know, when I came here, a lot of people sent me messages saying, now that the president is there, all the things you have been saying on radio, say it. But I also said, okay, let me just wait patiently for the president to deliver his speech. And in delivering his speech, he's addressed, in fact, majority of the concerns and all the things we've said. So I don't have anything to say for now. Except to say that the boys in my WhatsApp group say, thank you very much, Mr. President. But would kindly invite the president again, because I've been told that the president is going to take a photograph with the executives of the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association. We'll take that picture here on stage, and after that, Nananom would also join the president. The chiefs would also join the president. So we're taking two photographs with the president. First would be the executives of the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association. Just the executives of the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association. Please join us upstage for a group photograph with His Excellency the President. Executives of the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association. Please come up stage and take a photograph with His Excellency the President. Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, please join us. Thank you very much, the executives of the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association. Thank you very, very much. The president will now take the last photograph with the chiefs. So we'd invite Nananom to please come on stage and join the president. Thank you very much, Nananum. And the Honorable Chief Justice, please join. With the Chairman of KGL, yes, please. And the Eastern Regional Minister. Thank you very much, Nananum, and thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you very much, photographers. But let me just acknowledge the presence of the Member of Parliament for Mpraiso, Davis Opoku, is here. Just give us a wave. Thank you very much. Davis Opoku, OPK, we called him when we were at the university. I'll tell you his story another day. But at this point, we're getting to the end of the program, so we'd invite Samira Lardi Glau to give us the vote of thanks. Let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, the Chief Justice, Honorable Chief of Staff, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished traditional leaders and chiefs, captains of industry, our esteemed sponsors and partners, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a happy Easter to you all. On behalf of the organizing team of Kwahu Business Forum, it is both an honor and a privilege to deliver this vote of thanks. Your Excellency, we're deeply grateful for the honor of your presence, both at yesterday's networking gala and today's event. Your continued engagement sends a strong and clear signal of your unwavering commitment to private sector growth, investment promotion, and the long-term economic transformation of our nation. To our distinguished guests, we extend our sincere appreciation for your presence and active participation. Your contributions have enriched the dialogue and strengthened the purpose of this forum. Your Excellency, Your leadership continues to inspire confidence in Ghana's private sector. Thank you. Your presence has not only elevated this gathering, but has also set a purposeful and energizing tone for all involved. We wish to express our profound gratitude to the Honorable Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, whose instrumental role in conceptualizing and advancing this initiative has been invaluable. Through his leadership and in alignment with Your Excellency's vision of deepening public-private collaboration, this forum has evolved into a vibrant platform. To our honorable ministers, traditional authorities, captains of industry, and the Kwahu Business Advocacy Association, and all participants, we say a heartfelt thank you for your commitment and valuable contributions. I also wish to specially acknowledge and commend the KBF team for their tireless dedication and hard work in making this forum a success. In the same vein, we extend our sincere appreciation to Metalex and Trasaco Group for their strong collaboration, commitment, and invaluable support in bringing this vision to life. To the good people of Kwahu, we extend our deepest gratitude for your warm hospitality and for graciously accommodating us throughout this event. To our sponsors across platinum, gold, silver, and bronze tiers, we are sincerely thankful. Your participation, your partnership, and generous support have been pivotal to the success of this forum. Once again, thank you all for your participation, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samira. A few announcements before we go. Now, after the departure of the president, we would actually have partners and sponsors private networking session moderated by Iradams Karim. Now, that is what would happen after the departure of the president. At this point, we shall have the national anthem, and right after the national anthem, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and his team would leave us, and then the rest of us would stay in here and have the partners and sponsors private networking session. Shall we please have the national anthem? Thank you very much. The President shall now leave us.